Late one March night in 1922, a family and their new maid met a brutal end at their secluded farmhouse in Germany. The authorities conducted numerous interviews, attempting to unearth the culprit behind the shocking slayings of 6 individuals. Yet even after a century, the gruesome mystery of the Hinterkaifeck farm, a quaint Bavarian homestead, remains unresolved. The Hinterkaifeck murders are among Germany's oldest unsolved family killings. On April 4, 1922, Lorenz Schittenbauer grew concerned when he noticed his neighbor's mail piling up at their Hinterkaifeck farm. Sensing something was amiss, Schittenbauer enlisted the help of neighbors Jacob Segel and Michael Paul to investigate. Dive into this dark chapter of history with us. But before we unravel this mystery, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories like this. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. The men found the front door locked and proceeded to the barn, where they stumbled upon the bodies of Victoria Gabriel, 35, her daughter Kazilia, 7, and Victoria's parents, Andreas Gruber, 64, and Kazilia Gruber, 72. Each victim had been struck multiple times on the head. The bodies were piled together and concealed with a board and hay. Determined to investigate further, the men discovered a hallway linking the barn to the main house. Inside, they found the lifeless bodies of the family's maid, Maria Baumgartner, 44, and Victoria's young son, Joseph, 2. Both had been viciously bludgeoned to death in their beds. Although the murders at Hinterkaifeck Farm weren't uncovered until April 4, authorities concluded that the family had perished on the evening of Friday, March 31. Maria Baumgartner had started her job as the family's maid that very day, and her sister confirmed that everyone was alive when she visited Maria that afternoon. The next day, 2 coffee salesmen arrived at the farm but received no response at the door. However, smoke rose from the chimney and it appeared someone had tended to the livestock. On April 4, a repairman visited the house but found it deserted. The accumulating mail, the family's absence from Sunday church, and young Kazilia's failure to attend school all triggered the search of the barn, leading to the grim discovery of the murders. Hinterkaifeck's nearest police department was in Munich, around 45 miles away. Upon finding the bodies, Schittenbauer and his companions hurried to inform their families and neighbors about the horrifying scene at the farm. By the time lead investigator Joel Reingruber arrived from Munich, the crime scene had been trampled by dozens of onlookers, ruining crucial evidence and compromising the investigation. Despite the contaminated scene and the lack of advanced forensic methods, police theorized that the killers lured the 4 family members to the barn one by one, murdering them before returning to the house to kill Maria and Joseph. On April 5, 1922, Dr. Johann Baptist Ommler performed autopsies on the victims. He concluded that all had died from blunt force trauma to the head, likely inflicted with a pickaxe or mattock. Dr. Ommler also observed strangulation marks on the older Kazilia. Young Kazilia likely endured hours of agony, trapped beneath her family's bodies. Investigators discovered her clutching fistfuls of her own hair, with several bald patches on her head. Dr. Ommler believed she succumbed to a mix of her injuries and the shock. In the months and weeks leading up to the murders, several strange occurrences plagued the Hinterkaifeck farm. 6 months earlier, the family's former maid had quit, convinced the house was haunted after hearing footsteps in the attic. Neighbors recounted to police that Andreas Gruber had found footprints in the snow, leading from the nearby woods to the barn, but none leading away. This discovery fueled the theory that the killer had been hiding in the barn and possibly the attic, explaining the footsteps the previous maid had heard. Andreas also reported missing keys and found a newspaper inside the home that he hadn't subscribed to. Despite these unsettling signs, he declined an offer from a neighbor to borrow a gun for protection. 7 years before the Hinterkaifeck murders, Victoria and Andreas faced charges of incest after an anonymous report. Both were tried and found guilty, with Andreas serving 1 year in prison and Victoria serving either 1 year or 1 month, depending on the source. Many believe Victoria's 2-year-old son, Joseph, was fathered by Lorenz Schittenbauer, the man who initiated the search on April 4. However, some neighbors speculated that Joseph was the result of Andreas' incestuous relationship with Victoria. Throughout the investigation and subsequent re-investigations of the Hinterkaifeck murders, authorities considered over 100 individuals as potential suspects. One prominent theory suggested that Lorenz Schittenbauer might have committed the murders. Rumors circulated about a romantic relationship between Lorenz and Victoria, with Joseph allegedly being Lorenz's son. Some claimed Lawrence even called Joseph Mean Boogle, which translates to my boy. However, another rumor suggested that Lawrence believed Andries was actually Joseph's father. Lawrence had reportedly considered filing another complaint of incest, but refrained at Victoria's request. Ultimately, there was no definitive evidence linking Schittenbauer to the murders or proving he was Joseph's father, leading authorities to rule him out as a suspect. Tensions at Hinterkaifeck farm partly arose from its ownership. Victoria, not Andries, owned the property, having inherited it after her husband, Carl Gabriel, died in World War I. Rumors suggested Carl knew Kazilia was actually Andries' daughter, which supposedly drove him to live with his parents for several months before the war. Carl's death added another layer of mystery. His body was never found, leading some to speculate that he returned to the farm to exact revenge on the family. There were even claims that Carl was seen during World War II wearing a Soviet Union military uniform. However, authorities have never verified these theories. Following the autopsies, the court physician removed the heads of all 6 victims and sent them to Munich for further examination. It was alleged that the skulls of the Grubers and their maid were also given to clairvoyants, hoping to gain insights into the identity of the perpetrators behind the massacre. For unknown reasons, the victims' skulls remained in Munich, resulting in the Gruber family and their maid, Maria Baumgartner, being buried without them. According to authorities, the skulls disappeared amid the chaos of World War II and were never found. In 1999, an elderly woman informed authorities that her former landlord had confessed to knowing details about the Hinterkaifeck murders. Investigators followed up on this lead and discovered the landlord had allegedly made this claim in 1935. Unfortunately, it was too late, as the person identified in the tip had already passed away. In 2007, over 80 years after the gruesome murders at the Hinterkaifeck farm, students at the Fürstenfeldbruck Police Academy applied modern investigative techniques to the cold case. They managed to narrow down the suspects to one individual whom they believed committed the murders. However, since the suspected killer had already died, they chose not to reveal the person's identity, respecting the suspect's surviving relatives and honoring the victim's memory. That's the unsettling story of the Hinterkaifeck murders. What do you think happened on that fateful night? Share your theories and thoughts in the comments below. If you found the story intriguing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We have more mysterious and captivating tales coming your way, so stay tuned.